Wisconsin is a land of quiet forests, icy lakes, and towns that seem frozen in time. But beneath its calm surface, something restless stirs. Here, the shadows stretch longer, and the winter winds seem to carry whispers not meant for human ears. From haunted mansions to cursed cemeteries, Wisconsin holds stories of grief, madness, and spirits that refuse to sleep. Tonight, you'll walk the cold roads of this Midwestern state and step into the places where the living and the dead are not so easily separated. But be warned once you enter, you may not leave alone. 1. Old Baraboo Inn, Baraboo, Wisconsin. Our final stop takes us to the Old Baraboo Inn, a tavern with more history and more ghosts than its cheerful exterior suggests. Built in the mid-1800s, it served as a brothel and a stop for traveling circus performers. And over the decades, it's seen its share of violence, passion, and sorrow. The stories that remain are etched into its walls. Inside, patrons and staff report phantom voices, glasses shattering on their own, and the sound of piano music playing when no one is near the instrument. One bartender recalled hearing a woman's laughter echo through the bar, though she stood alone in the room, in the upstairs rooms where the brothel once operated. Guests say they've felt invisible hands touch their shoulders or heard the rustle of skirts brushing past them. Some spirits seem playful, others less so. Investigators claim to have captured growling voices, warning them to leave. One chilling account tells of a guest who saw a man in a bowler hat sitting at the bar, only to watch him fade into smoke before his eyes. The Old Baraboo Inn embraces its haunted reputation, hosting ghost hunts and tours for the curious. But if you choose to step inside, remember, you're not just walking into a bar. You're walking into a place where the past refuses to let go, and where every toast might be shared with someone who died over a century ago. 2. Bloody Bride Bridge, Stevens Point, Wisconsin. On a foggy night, Highway 66 stretches quiet and lonely through the Wisconsin countryside. But at one spot known as Bloody Bride Bridge, drivers claim the road comes alive with something far more terrifying than wildlife crossing. The legend tells of a bride who died in a car crash on her wedding night, her blood staining her gown as she perished on the bridge. Since then, motorists have reported seeing her spirit, veiled and bloodied, drifting along the road. The most chilling encounters come when drivers glance into their rearview mirrors. Some have sworn that the bride suddenly appears in the back seat, her hollow eyes fixed on them, before vanishing into nothingness. Others say they've nearly collided with her figure walking across the bridge, only for their cars to pass through empty air. Police officers, truckers, and ordinary travelers alike have told of strange accidents near the bridge, as if the location itself conspires to recreate tragedy. The air grows heavier here, headlights dim, and the silence presses in, as though waiting for another victim. Would you cross the bridge at midnight, knowing she may be waiting in your back seat? On this lonely stretch of road, love and death are forever entwined. 3. The Brumder Mansion, Milwaukee, Wisconsin. Milwaukee seems to collect haunted mansions, but few are as notorious as the Brumder. Built in 1910 by publishing magnate George Brumder, the mansion later fell into the hands of questionable figures during Prohibition, allegedly serving as a gangster hideout and speakeasy. With so many layers of history, it's no wonder the house became a crossroads for spirits. Guests staying in the ornate Victorian rooms often describe unsettling experiences. Bedclothes tugged in the night, disembodied footsteps crossing wooden floors, or shadows sliding along the walls. The Gold Suite is said to be the most active, where people wake to see a woman in Victorian dress staring silently at them before fading away. In the Blue Room, guests have felt sudden drops in temperature, their breath fogging in the air, while the rest of the house remains warm. Some paranormal investigators claim the spirits here aren't just residual echoes, but intelligent presences that respond to questions. Voices captured on recorders have whispered names, warnings, and even pleas to leave us be. The Brumder Mansion now operates as a bed and breakfast. You can book a stay, enjoy fine furnishings, and a home-cooked meal, but you might also share your room with someone who hasn't drawn breath in 100 years. 4. Boy Scout Lane, Stevens Point, Wisconsin. It looks like any other quiet rural road, but the locals know better. Boy Scout Lane runs through dense woods outside Stevens Point, and according to legend, it's the final resting place of an entire troop of Boy Scouts who met a grim fate here. The details change depending on who tells the story. Some say they were murdered by their scoutmaster. Others claim they died in a tragic bus accident or fire. What remains consistent is the feeling this road does not want you here. Those who dare to walk it at night report hearing footsteps trailing just behind them, twigs snapping under invisible weight, flashlights flicker and fail, and the sound of children's laughter rises from the trees, sharp and hollow. Some even describe ghostly lanterns bobbing in the distance, as if scouts are forever trying to find their way home. Cars parked on the road often return, with handprints smeared across the windows, too small to belong to any adult. Locals say if you call out, you may hear voices answer in the dark, high-pitched, childlike, and not entirely human. Would you walk Boy Scout Lane after midnight, knowing the woods are alive with something that remembers, and that watches many who do never stay long enough to find out what waits deeper in the trees? 5. Maribel Caves Hotel, Maribel, Wisconsin. They call it Hotel Hell, and when you see the ruins, you'll understand why. The Maribel Caves Hotel was built in 1900 as a lavish retreat, drawing in wealthy visitors who believed the mineral springs nearby had healing powers. But the building's life was short and tragic. A series of fires ravaged it, leaving behind only stone walls and blackened skeletons of staircases. What remains feels less like a ruin and more like a warning. Locals whisper that the place was once used for occult rituals, its isolation perfect for those who wanted to summon things better left undisturbed. Visitors who wander too close speak of hearing low chanting, or the echo of a woman screaming somewhere deep within the ruins. Strange lights flicker in the empty windows, and photographs often reveal shapes dark, humanoid outlines that no one remembers seeing at the time. Some insist that the spirits of those who perished in the fires still linger, bound to the cracked stone. Others believe the hotel's curse goes deeper, tied to the land itself, where underground caves pulse with strange energies. At night, the air is unnaturally cold, as if the walls themselves exhale a breath from another world. Hotel Hell is a ruin you can visit, but would you? Or would you risk stepping into a place where even the walls remember pain? 6. The Karsten Hotel, Kewaunee, Wisconsin. On the shores of Lake Michigan stands the Karsten Hotel, a historic inn where the past lingers in every hallway. Built in 1912, the hotel once played host to businessmen and travelers, but its most infamous guests are the ones who never checked out. The most active spirit is that of Celia, a former housekeeper whose devotion to the hotel never ended with her life. Guests report waking in the night to find a woman tucking in their blankets, only to watch her dissolve into the air. Others claim to smell her perfume lingering in empty hallways, or hear the soft sweep of a broom when no one is there. Then there is Billy, the mischievous grandson of the hotel's founder. His laughter echoes down the stairwells, and guests often hear the sound of bouncing balls or small footsteps racing along the corridors. Some even say they've seen a child peeking around corners, only to disappear when approached. The Karsten is more than just a place to rest. It's a crossroads between time, where the dead continue their routines, oblivious to the world that moved on without them. Would you stay the night, knowing you may not be sleeping alone? 7. Dartford Cemetery, Green Lake, Wisconsin. If cemeteries are where the dead rest peacefully, Dartford Cemetery is the exception. Located in Green Lake, this graveyard is said to be one of the most haunted places in Wisconsin. Beneath its weathered headstones lie Civil War soldiers, cholera victims, and local settlers' souls who may not have found their final peace. Visitors tell of cold winds sweeping the grounds even on warm days, as if the earth itself exhales. Some claim that if you sit on the infamous witch's grave, an unseen force will push you off violently. Others speak of ghostly children running between the stones, giggling one moment and vanishing the next. The most terrifying encounters happen at night, when figures in old-fashioned clothing are spotted standing silently at the edges of the cemetery, watching trespassers without moving closer. Local teenagers have long dared each other to enter after dark, but many leave shaken, swearing they felt invisible hands grab their arms or heard whispered warnings on the wind. The cemetery gates creak like they're sighing shut behind you, a reminder that you're crossing into a place where time stands still. Would you dare to sit among the stones, waiting for the unseen to notice you? In Dartford Cemetery, silence is never empty. It's listening. 8. Shaker's Cigar Bar, Milwaukee, Wisconsin. At first glance, Shaker's Cigar Bar is just another speakeasy-style hangout, draped in vintage decor and a haze of smoke. But step beyond the bar, and you'll discover why it's earned the chilling nickname, the most haunted bar in Milwaukee. Built in 1894, the building once served as a brothel, and before that, it housed a morgue. The walls have absorbed more than spilled whiskey. They've absorbed secrets. Staff report shadowy figures drifting across the basement, where Prohibition-era gangsters are said to have disposed of their victims. Some claim to hear the scraping of a shovel, as if graves are being dug beneath the floorboards. Upstairs, where women once worked in dim candlelight, guests say the air still carries whispers, laughter, and even sobs that vanish when you lean closer. Perhaps the most infamous spirit is that of a young woman named Elizabeth, believed to have been murdered in the brothel. Patrons have described a sudden chill, a hand on their shoulder, or the fleeting image of a woman in white moving through a mirror. Shakers even offers ghost tours, daring visitors to step into the basement and confront whatever lingers in the dark. You can order a drink here, but you may also leave with something you didn't pay for, a memory of eyes watching you, even when you're alone. 9. Summerwind Mansion, Vilas County, Wisconsin. Deep in the Northwoods, where the trees crowd the horizon and the nights are starless, the ruins of Summerwind Mansion stand like broken teeth in the earth. Built in the early 20th century, the house became infamous in the 1970s when Arnold and Ginger Hinshaw moved in. Their lives quickly unraveled. Ginger claimed to hear voices in empty rooms, doors slamming with invisible force, and shadows that seemed to shift and crawl across the walls. Arnold grew increasingly unstable, firing a gun at what he swore was a phantom figure appearing in the dining room. Their children told chilling tales of seeing figures drift through corridors, and one night, while exploring the basement, they discovered a hidden crawl space. Inside lay what appeared to be a human corpse, half buried and decayed. Whether that discovery was ever officially confirmed remains a mystery, but it was enough to drive the family out, never to return. Today, Summerwind is little more than skeletal remains of stone and charred wood after a fire, but visitors say the ruins still hum with energy. Cameras malfunction, footsteps echo where no one stands, and on certain nights, figures are seen drifting through the broken windows, trapped in a house that refuses to die. Would you wander through its ruins after dark, knowing what others have heard in those woods? Some say the mansion itself is alive, waiting for another family to consume. 10. The Pfister Hotel, Milwaukee, Wisconsin. Step inside the grand lobby of the Pfister Hotel, and you'll feel it, an atmosphere heavy with history. Gilded mirrors reflecting more than they should. Built in 1893, the hotel was the dream of wealthy businessman Charles Pfister, who believed Milwaukee deserved a palace of its own. But what he left behind seems to be more than just bricks and chandeliers. Guests, especially visiting athletes and performers, speak of strange phenomena, the feeling of being watched, disembodied voices whispering in the dark, and unseen hands brushing across bedsheets at night. Baseball players staying here have refused to sleep alone, reporting flickering lights, TVs turning on by themselves, and even figures looming at the edge of their beds. One major league player claimed he awoke to find a man standing silently in his room, only for the apparition to vanish when he turned on the light. Some say it's Charles Pfister himself, still overseeing his beloved hotel, unwilling to relinquish control. Others whisper that the ornate artwork covering the walls has something sinister about it, paintings where eyes follow you down the hallway. Would you dare to stay the night here, knowing that countless guests have fled before dawn in the Pfister Hotel? Luxury and terror exist side by side, and the ghosts seem to check in far more often than they ever check out. The winds of Wisconsin are heavy with secrets. Some drift through ruined hotels, others echo in forgotten cemeteries, and a few sit quietly in the passenger seat beside you, unseen but never absent. The question is, when you leave these places behind, do the spirits stay where they are, or do they follow you home? If you've walked with me through these shadows tonight, let the chill linger a little longer. And remember, sometimes The most haunted places are not out there in the dark, but inside the memories we carry. That's all for today. If you enjoyed this chilling journey, don't forget to like, comment with your favorite haunted location, and subscribe for more weekly videos from the shadows.